keep seeing water, like a deep blue lake or sea, and someone submerging themselves in it. And I think what I'm feeling is you blocking yourself off to what must be done. I'm hearing resistance to change. And as I was shuffling, I had the death card come out, which, though intimidating, we must recall that death is more about change and embracing death, the end of all things, will lead us out of the cave. But I keep feeling this very resistant, like, energy, like, you're not gonna, nope, I'm not gonna do it. Nope, I won't go. Very much like wanting to stay in the dark, wanting to stay hidden. There's another card that came out at the very beginning, which is the Star card. And I think you are hiding your star potential for whatever reason. Look to the stars for guidance. But again, I keep seeing in my mind's eye a dark cave, someone curled up with their arms around their legs, facing the darkness, not wanting to leave the cave, the safety, the comfort. Even though it is cold, there is comfort in the cold, dark cave of loneliness. Ooh. I heard the clouds will part and you would be amazed by what you will see. This reading is very murky and heavy. I'm feeling a little uncomfortable and sweaty. I have a bit of a headache and a sore throat. That could just be me, but I feel like you're lethargic, weak, not wanting to see what has to change, what must not remain. But it's like there's this tiny part of you that wants to get a message, and that's why I'm here, trying to get a message to you. The next card I was seeing as I was opening the deck was the Seven of Swords. And this is very much, to me, like you're avoiding conflict, you're avoiding what needs to be said. I don't know who you need to say this to. Honestly, maybe it's even yourself. I feel like you are not willing to be honest with yourself. And I'm seeing now this person shedding some tears. And I'm sending some comfort. I feel a little silly saying that I'm sending you comfort, but just know that I cry a lot. And grief is normal with any big life change. It doesn't necessarily have to relate to someone actually leaving this earthly plane, but it could just mean the end of a life you once believed was yours to claim. I don't know why that came out as a rhyme, but I do feel like once you allow yourself to release these emotions, after being honest with yourself, you will then have the courage or the resilience to step out of the cave. And I'm seeing someone looking out at the night sky and up at the moon. Seek nature as your reserve. You know, I remember when I was living alone just a few years ago and feeling quite insecure about what I was doing with my life, whether or not I would be successful, whether or not I would ever find a partner. But I would go on these short walks around my apartment complex where I lived, and there was this long stretch of driveway that would be quite quiet at night. Only a few street lights were lit, and I remember looking up at the moon and talking to the moon and asking it for support and guidance and gratitude. And I remember feeling a lot of calm, encouragement, and excitement after doing that, because it felt like I was connecting to something greater than myself. And even if I felt a little bit silly and ridiculous, sometimes I would think like, oh, what if someone saw me just talking to the moon or looking up at the moon? It still felt right. It made me feel giddy. It was a reminder that there were bigger things up there in the sky looking down on me, protecting me, guiding me. And so maybe now it is time for you to rely on a higher power to help guide you, especially with loneliness coming up at the start of this. Connecting to nature really helped me when I was feeling super lonely. And that could be your higher power. I've said this before, but you can really choose nature as a higher power. You don't have to believe in a specific god or deity, goddess, ruler, aliens. Like, you can believe in all of those things, but just as simply you can believe in nature and the repetitive cycle of things that exists on Earth. There is, what's the word? I would say something to the, I can't think of the word, that is so funny. Reliance? Connection, cyclical nature of Earth that is very reassuring when life feels scary, chaotic, and unknown. There is always a moon hanging up in the sky, and there is always the turn of the earth and the sun rising. So you can let those things be your guide. God, my foot fell asleep. Hold on. If anyone knows a good way to keep your feet from falling asleep or to help them recover, let me know. Anyway, the next card that I was seeing after, hi Fifi, I have a little kitten with me. After the Seven of Swords was the Seven of Wands, which to me is very much like planting seeds, planting dreams, and being very determined. Like, I think you're probably manifesting and telling yourself, no, there is no plan B. I am determined. This is what is going to happen. And I've decided it. Oh, you need some help? One moment. Let's see if she goes on my shoulders like she's been doing. Oh no, not the candle, honey. Okay, no, we're not doing this candle anymore.
Get that smoke out of your face. Get that smoke out of your face.
You might be feeling a little distracted lately while you've been trying to do things. Or actually, I'm feeling like as you're exiting this kind of like grieving phase, feeling a bit drained and lethargic, you may slowly but surely be planting seeds, right? Planting dreams, making goals, creating manifestations. I heard like manifestation journal. So you might be writing down the things that you want and helping yourself bring them into fruition, or bring them into the material world, bring them into fruition. And this kind of ill feeling might be making you feel a little distracted, like you can't really pay super close attention, and you keep getting brought back into like the present moment instead of your manifestations. But I feel like that's for a reason. And I want to say that I recently realized that I've been missing play from my life, and that little kitten has taught me this lesson. We can't play if everything we've ever done comes from a deeper sense of needing to be perfect. Play can never be perfect. Play is unbound, it is joyful, it is free, it is spontaneous. It is light. It is not serious. And it can't really be planned for. You have to be taken by it. And I think you are going to experience this, if you're not already, of kind of being drawn towards things that reignite or remind you or help you remember this feeling of play that you've had in your life. Like maybe you want to open a book that you loved and as a child or young adult and reread it. There's a book that I have been starting to reread. Maybe you have a pet that's going to try and teach you the importance of play, because you know, like, they need to play for their own health and well-being, so I need to make time to play with them, and in turn you'll be forced into the play, like you'll engage in the play and be better for it. But I keep looking at the face of this person on the Seven of Wands. Their expression is very like serious and determined. And I think there's a time and a place for that, right? But my sense is that you've kind of been in that energy and space for a long time. And you're being forced to reconcile with the fact that you've never played or even wanted to play or understood how to play, is what I'm hearing, even as a child. Maybe you were always like a very serious child or felt very uptight. Like I'm seeing a little kid wearing a buttoned up shirt all the way to the top and just very like expressionless, polite, seem like carrying a notebook, maybe a bit grown up for their age. I'm seeing like short buzzed blonde hair, like particularly like a little boy. So maybe you had a haircut like that when you were a kid, and now I'm seeing like a man with longer hair and some facial hair, and it's like a little messy, kind of like mine, where letting it grow a little wild and messy and seeing what that feels like, because you're tired of this image of perfection that you've been portraying for so long. And so again, I think this distractibility might just be your subconscious trying to get your inner child to play along, and let go of that seriousness. So maybe just try and go with it as much as it feels like you are not someone who likes to go with the flow. I can relate. And wants to kind of be very precise and particular and plan everything. It feels very linear instead of free-flowing like water. So maybe that ties back to the water imagery I was seeing in the beginning, like water wanting to submerge yourself, almost like as a purification ritual, a baptism, I don't know, a return to who you once were. There's that quote, like, before the world got its hands on you, which I think in this case it's more like before you told yourself who you were supposed to be instead of who you longed for or hoped you were. Like, again, I'm seeing the dichotomy of that, the little boy with the buzz cut and the button-up shirt, and then kind of like a split screen, the same little boy, but he's running and playing and laughing and screaming and running free. Like even half naked, you know how toddlers just run around in their diapers, you know? And so there may be some grief still with this incoming change or remembrance of who you longed to be at one point long ago. So give yourself patience, time, and energy if you can. Take a break from things. Allow yourself to be in this space of healing and reciprocation. I don't know, wait. I was gonna say like reciprocating. I'm not really sure. Let me see what this card says. This is the Eight of Cups upside down. There's the moon as well, like we talked about. So I almost just got emotional. I could feel that, you know, that sensation where you feel instantly like, oh, I could cry. I turn this card over, and what do I see? So there is a moon hanging in the sky, and there is a person with a cane. You could say walking into the mountain. Okay, I think the upright is walking towards the mountain. But it came out upside down, right? Which to me is kind of saying like you're leaving your isolation, going backwards. So I feel like I'm not as familiar with this card, but just thinking like intuitively and with the imagery, right? The upright is someone moving towards an isolation physically, but so that they can regain their emotional resources. But upside down, it's like you're returning. Wait. It's kind of like what I was saying in the beginning of seeking nature as your sense of like rejuvenation, healing, going into nature to feel full and complete. Seeing nature as your protector. Yeah, this is very much like seeking recovery in nature so that you can fill up your cups again. But it was upside down, right? This reading is getting long, but well, hopefully you're still here. If not, this is fine. This is fun. It's like you're going backwards. This might feel kind of like I was gonna say relapse. This may not have anything to do with like an addiction, but more about the fact that, you know, we can take 2 steps forward and 10 steps back when we're recovering from something. And it doesn't mean that we're going backwards, but it means like, you know, going back into our cave can feel comforting. Like this desire to go and hide, to go back into the cave after recognizing all of these things that you've been blocking, that we've been talking about. But you can't really go back once you've acknowledged these things. The cave is not the same. And I'm seeing in my mind's eye, like the cave is a lot smaller and shallow, and it's a lot more uncomfortable. It's not really providing the same comfort it once did. So if this happens, just remember that you're going to embrace new coping mechanisms, I think. Or like you might feel some discomfort. Yeah. As you go through this process and you might feel inclined to go, back into your cave again. If you're moving really slow too, I'm feeling this feeling of like struggling to even get going and moving. Like you're just so drained and heavy and full of this grief, I would say. And seeing someone just like wanting to be in the quiet though, like wanting to be in silence. Maybe like you want to be going into nature, disappearing, just to be with the stars and the animals and the trees, but not maybe giving yourself the chance to, or you're just like dreaming about it. Maybe go camping. That's what I just heard in my brain. The desert. I'm seeing. There's something very magical about the desert, especially sunset time. I've never been, let me know how it goes. Always be safe as well though, like make sure you're taking precautions and checking weather, checking with the locals for their advice. Don't go just out into nature all by yourself thinking that, you've got this. There's not to make you feel nervous, but just to make sure that you're being cautious and safe, because your life is precious. And there are ways to go out in nature and be solitary, but there's also a safe way to do it. So please keep that in mind if you decide to do this. I feel like you will. Maybe Sedona, that's what came up for me just now. A lot of people have quite spiritual experiences there. Maybe you're going there. Or like New Mexico, Arizona, California. But yeah, give yourself some grace, because I'm feeling this very heavy, slow energy. Sore throat again, which to me is kind of like, you can get a sore throat after crying a lot, and then also when you cry and then your nose gets all stuffy and you have to fall asleep with your mouth open, like you have to breathe through your mouth while you sleep, which makes the sore throat worse. Oh gosh, my foot fell asleep again. Oh God. I think I have 2 cards left and then it'll be the end of this reading. I just noticed my cloud cat tree that I got for my kitten, and I want to bring up this image I had in my head, just clouds, fluffy white clouds, traveling through clouds, and needing this like softness and comfort right now. Head in the clouds, traveling at light speed. There's something to that. The heavens opening up. I think like you'll feel lightness soon enough. This heaviness won't last. It cannot. And I was stimming, but then I realized like maybe you're craving the sense of airiness, flight. Are you gonna travel by airplane? Or maybe you're having dreams of flying at night, flying through the sky. Peter Pan. It's reminding me of this very childlike sense of wonder. So like when I'm envisioning this travel through these fluffy white clouds, I'm feeling this energy of childlike wonder and excitement and giddiness rather than any sort of fear. And maybe this is what you're dreaming of and where your soul is going to. But maybe it's gonna be really hot where you are, and that's why I'm doing this. I'm fanning myself. But also this feeling of breath of fresh air, the wind in your hair, the breeze, the free flowing. Taking deep breaths. So let's look at these last two cards. So I'm seeing the 5 of Swords upside down, which to me, it's like you're tired of fighting it. You're putting down your sword. You're done with fighting the truth, that which you are. You're done fighting that which you are. You're still here? Maybe it's just me and Mom. Hey, Mom. No, but I am thinking how this connects to the last card, which is the 6 of Pentacles, and this came out upside down. And so when I see it right side up, I'm usually, inclined to believe it means generosity. So whether that means you're going to have a patron, I don't know why I just heard patron saint. Maybe you have a patron saint. Saint Michael. Saint Christopher is like the patron saint of travelers. Saint Gerald? I don't think there's a Gerald. I don't know why I thought. Gerald. I don't know why. But it's upside down, so I think generosity of spirit is what is coming to mind. Generosity of wealth. Maybe you're not, I don't want to say the word stingy because that comes across as rude. Just a little bit like unwilling to spend because you're afraid. Put down the sword. Maybe I'm hearing like you need to fight for your wealth. Man, this reading is 34 minutes. But things are slow moving here. I'm not ashamed. The 5 of Swords. I think I need another card. This feels incomplete. Okay, I got the Hanged Man. You're ready, is what I'm hearing. I feel like this is about vacation. taking a vacation, truly. So what I initially said about the Five of Swords was like, I don't actually remember what I said. I'm so sorry. But upside down Five of Swords and upside down Six of Pentacles is very much like holding on to what you know and not giving in. But something's gonna happen that's just gonna make you go like, oh, F it. Like, I'm just gonna go on this vacation, go on this trip, maybe this camping trip. I keep thinking about the desert, even though we talked about water and we talked about submerging yourself, but you're like, I need a reprieve. You're gonna hit a point where you're just like, ugh, I'm letting it go. I'm tired of holding on so tightly to what I know and believe. Maybe this could also have to do with your beliefs around money. The truth of what it means to be happy. The truth of what it means to be free. You are no longer going to be holding so tightly to that wealth, I think. Like, you're gonna loosen the purse strings and go on this journey. And it's gonna be very much like you reach that breaking point or tipping point and you almost just snap out of it. And you decide to throw everything away, like every belief you ever had. Are you moving? Are you getting rid of stuff? The only life you've ever known. I'm seeing in my mind's eye someone looking around an empty house as if they've just packed up everything and they're moving away, but it feels freeing. This feels like you've lived a long while. Like, did you just decide to retire maybe? And you're ready to finally feel free and be free. And then, so I'm just seeing in my mind's eye someone standing there kind of just like, yeah, I did that. Kind of hands on their hips, just looking around like, this is it. And being very content with what they're leaving behind. Not knowing, but also knowing on a deeper level what lies ahead. This yearning, this calling. I'm seeing again the sunrise over a desert. A lot of orange, not orange like the fruit, orange energy like desert orange. And this aligns very nicely with what is our last card, which was the Hanged Man. Which to me is always like spiritual growth. Like spiritual awakening. And a complete upheaval, reversal, return to kingdom is what I just heard. Return to soul healing, sunshine, soul healing work, sunshine. I just also saw someone doing like surgery or like some sort of medical, some sort of healing practice, like working on someone's body, like someone doing stitches. I don't know. Maybe you were like a doctor and what's the word, like going to start a naturopath practice or like a nonprofit, or where you're just going to be helping like a local community. And I'm just feeling this really relaxed energy. I'm seeing someone wearing like what are those silk shirts? I'm thinking of like a Hawaiian shirt, but just like a silk button down, kind of relaxed vibe, but very warm and welcoming. And I'm seeing someone being hugged by kids, like kids running up to them and hugging them. I will say this feels like a very masculine energy that I'm reading for as well. But I just feel like a very deep sense of contentment, like relief, peace. And I also just saw in my mind's eye like a woman or someone kind of like in the sunlight coming towards you. So maybe you've got a love match on the horizon after you take this leap of faith, or let go of everything you've ever known to start something soul healing. And then someone's gonna just come in and be like, hey, thank goodness you're here, finally. Oh, I love a good romance. Okay. I think I have to end that. That was a journey. Take care of your throat. Drink some water. It's gonna be dry in the desert. And then have fun.